Hi, welcome to a video on Project 3, the introduction. So the introduction is going to be following a particular template, and you'll see that template in the Blackboard folder of Project 3, and you'll also find 3 student examples from past courses that follow that template as well. The reason that we have a template is because academic introductions follow very specific and particular rhetorical moves, and you've probably seen some of those moves as you've gone and analyzed scholarly articles in your field. Now, while not all fields will follow this specific and particular structure of an introduction, they will always have these pieces of information within them. And so in order to make this more cohesive for you as a writer and to ensure that you are in fact including all of the key components of a scholarly introduction, I'm asking you to follow this template for the introduction to the T. There's no alterations to it at all. You'll also see that in the template example that I have posted in Blackboard, I have annotated each section, indicating what each section does and the information that should be placed in there. I will also be posting a PowerPoint with audio, and we'll walk through the introduction and each section step by step so that I can describe in more detail what needs to go into the introduction. Now, one of the things that you want to be very aware of when you are writing the introduction is that within certain sections, such as the problem and its investigation, even within the rationale, there are going to be the need for references, meaning in-text citation to justify the types of claims that you're making. And we'll cover this again when we discuss the literature review, but your introduction is a roadmap for readers. And so this means that you have to be very, very focused and specific, again, why we're using the template. But you're going to start out with, the broad what of your research question and why this research question is of importance to research, using research from your annotations that you found to justify this. And then as you move on throughout the introduction, you'll begin to narrow it more and more down to your very focused and specific research question or questions and the problem that you are going to be attempting to solve right at the end of this research proposal. And so think about your introduction as being an inverted triangle, where you're not so broad when you introduce this research topic in question that it's just like all the things that could possibly be talked about, right? But as we talked in class, say if I'm talking about, say, the ethical considerations of genetic testing, certainly that's a very large topic, right? So then maybe I'm going to look at the ethical considerations of genetic testing and the need to inform the general public as to what types of safety nets are put into place, what really does happen with the genetic material, what happens when not all of it is used, how is it shared, these kinds of things. So I will start out in my introduction at the very beginning in the problem its investigation to introduce that there is a problem with genetic testing, and that is that there are particular ethical considerations that one has to address when conducting this type of research, and that by doing so, this allows the field to move forward in its research with genetic testing. As you're moving down into the subsections of the introduction, that's where you're going to then begin to go into the more and more narrowed approach that we talked about, such as like maybe looking at the ethical considerations as to what is done with genetic material when it's not been used, how and when is genetic material shared, these kinds of things. As always, you can email me with any questions you have about the introduction. I know that we don't meet in class, but next week we do meet for conferences, and so that's going to be a primary source for you to bring your questions, any annotations that you have, and ideas that you have for the introduction to the conference. So please come prepared. I only have 30 minutes with each one of you, and so if you've not, gathered your material, and if you've not gotten things set in your mind as to what you want to ask, then a lot of the time is wasted. All right, so look at the PowerPoint with the with the audio that's included. That should give you some additional information about this first step of the drafting of Project 3.